This is the Freeheel Life Podcast, episode number 120. I'm your host, Josh Madsen, coming at you from the Freeheel Life shop in Salt Lake City, Utah. Oh, my voice cracked a little bit. I had a little bit of a cold last week, so excuse me. But I've got a nice hot coffee here. We're going to get going. It's Monday, which means another episode of Telemark Pirate Radio, which is probably what I should have called this thing. And because that's kind of what it is, right? Sort of underground and underground news, because apparently we're all dead. And it's, I don't know, insert whatever joke. I'm so bad at telemark jokes, too. That's the funniest part about it. I've been telemarking for almost 30 years, and I don't know most of the telemark jokes because I decided not to listen, I guess, at some point. So anyways, so my voice is a little wonky. I may be sipping my coffee occasionally. And the imperfections of the non-edited Freeheel Life podcast are probably going to be loud in your ears this morning as we get the day rolling. So I hope you are enjoying it wherever you are at. Good times. Hopefully everyone had a great weekend. It's, again, mind-blowing that we're in March. I was talking to Taylor over at the shop this week, and it's just, it's crazy. Almost all the events are done. We got through World Telemark Day, and the shop's closing on April 2nd, so we're about 3-ish weeks away from that. So if you're trying to get into the shop and you're making your pilgrimage to Salt Lake or whatnot, and I say pilgrimage because that's what people tend to call it. You know, I'm coming to Salt Lake. I'm making my pilgrimage to the shop. So I say that with all due respect. And it's because of you that I look at it that way for all you Freeheel Lifers that are psyched on what we're doing. So back to what I was saying. If you're looking to come to Salt Lake and get into the shop, you got until April 2nd. It's hard for us, some people always say, well, the resorts aren't closed, whatever. It's a challenge for us to stay open past that, with a staff. And we want to be able to take care of everybody. But sometimes it's a little bit tricky once April comes. People start biking and golfing and hiking, all the other stuff. And although we will be answering emails and whatnot, the brick and mortar will be closed. So hopefully you can make it in, and we'll be working away. We got summer projects kind of gearing up. We've been planning those this week. So kind of fun to start looking at the 2022-23 season already. Who would have thought? Still telemarking after all these years, right? Hot bean water. Nothing better. So, hope everyone had a good time at Scufaneta. If you were in Italy this past weekend, near the small village of Moena, I have been to this festival. It is amazing. And I've kind of lost touch with the Scufons. So if any of the Scufons are out there listening to the podcast, what's up? I miss you guys. I would love to get back to Italy and see all of you. They are a fantastic group, Telemark club in Italy. And it's just, it's good to see that one going. I've got a lot of fond memories of that particular festival. And I know my buddy Andreas Webeck was at it. He actually got lost. He Instagrammed me and was like, I'm lost in the Dolomites. How do I find the Telemark Festival? And I was kind of laughing because that also happened to me. So maybe a story for another day. But if you ever have the chance to go ski the Dolomites and get the Super Dolomiti Pass, it is absolutely incredible and a great way to ski in that area. And of course, like I said, hit up Scufaneta. Maybe we can find someone from that festival to do the podcast. I would love that. That reminded me, there's a couple festivals coming up. man, after writing all the World Telemark Days ones down, I honestly didn't prepare myself for all the late events, but Hawaiian Nationals by Sun Valley Tele up in Sun Valley, Idaho is going to be happening. I want to say it's the 14th of April. I do not have it in front of me. Sorry guys, if you're listening. Still want to try and get them on the podcast prior to that event because that's one of the longest running events in the country. So yeah, for all you Western folk, Sun Valley in April. Also, Black Shoes Festival happening over in Teen, France. In France. That's 29th of April through the 1st of May. That's the late one. Love those guys. Guys and gals. When I say guys, it's everybody. I love all of you, Black Shoes. This is their 30th anniversary. Again, one of the oldest Telemark festivals in the world. And Teen is an incredible mountain. Black Shoes is an incredible festival. And the French know how to get it done. I'm just going to leave it at that. I think there's an episode where we had me, Taylor, Ashley, and Mr. Alex LeBlanc talking about our experiences at Black Shoes and a lot of fond memories. So Black Shoes is coming up. Be sure to check that out if you are in Europe. Other content that was kind of on my radar, Dosty's View, number 53. He talks to Jake Garcia from 22 Designs while we were at World Telemark Day at Alta. And cool update on sort of some stuff. Dosty's View, if you don't know or subscribe to the YouTube channel, Dosty's sort of digging in. He's been doing it lately. He's been doing some interviews at these festivals like at Telefestivus, World Telemark Day, getting to talk to some of the vendors. And he got to talk to Jake a little bit about the flex plates on the links, some modifications that they're doing on that, and actually showed us a soft flex plate, which I guess came out this year. I felt a little behind when he pulled it out because I wasn't totally familiar with it. But it kind of played into, if you listen to the 75 millimeter is dead podcast with me and Taylor, we talk a little bit about how much opportunity is out there within the NTN platform in order to create different bindings and sensations that those bindings create with different boot combinations. And I thought that was really cool to be able to see 22 tackling this with different flex plate options and whatnot. So 22 is awesome. I mean, they're doing a great job of really innovating on some stuff. And I really think they're listening to the people. You know, I think the other binding companies are as well. But, 22, I can see some little tweaks that are going on that, in my opinion, my personal opinion, are sort of getting a little more in touch with the people using the product, and that's great to see. So loving that. So make sure to, if you don't subscribe to the YouTube channel, that's a great way to stay kind of in tune with what's going on. Dosty's View, like I said, Dosty's View number 54 is coming out this week. He's talking to Dave Grissom from Volet. We've also got the lowdown with Miles Schaefer, who is our Freeheel Life shop manager, and plenty of other videos. And there's a huge archive of some tech tips, heel removal tips, all sorts of fun stuff on there. And we're always chomping at the bit to do more content and just keep that rolling. So as far as I'm concerned, it's the best place for Telemark content anywhere on the planet Earth, except our websites. So YouTube is a great way, very visual, obviously. If you're not a YouTube person, a lot of those, I think almost all of those videos make it over to Instagram. And you can follow us over at Freeheel Life on Instagram or at Teleskier Mag if you're into the Telemark Skier Magazine stuff, or both. And yeah, so I guess that's kind of it in terms of the news and random stuff that's going on and all that jazz. So the only other thing I was going to kind of hit on before we hop into this is World Telemark Day, kind of a quick debrief on this whole thing. How did it go? Awesome. I would say, and I've been telling everybody that's asking me about this, how was the eighth annual World Telemark Day? And honestly, for me personally, I felt like this year I could really feel something click differently, and sort of the momentum of what it is, of people gathering themselves together in their local hills or backcountry areas and going and telemark skiing. And for me, I just felt like people got organized, and they kind of got it a little bit better. And I think that this is great heading into year 9 next year, and then obviously into the 10th annual. And I think by the 10th annual, we're going to be rocking and rolling all over the globe. But, if you listen to the podcast where I was kind of bringing up all the meetups, I mean, it was everywhere. And I'm talking Northern Hemisphere, but everywhere from Finland to Sweden to Norway, all over the United States, Canada, Japan, and on and on. It was very, very, very cool to see people by themselves, small groups, meetup points, resorts getting on board. So I promise I'm going to try and get ahead on this one a little bit. So you may, if I can get around to it, I'm going to try and get some information out as we head into the spring and summer, so we can kind of get contact people going, because I want to keep that momentum going. And, if we chip away at it a little bit at a time over the next 12 months, World Telemark Day 9th Annual is going to be even better. But I wanted to give you guys that feedback about how it went. And in Salt Lake, I mean, we were at Alta, kind of centralizing ourselves there. We had people from all over the place, and it was just absolutely incredible. So just wanted to give a little more of a sort of heads up on all of that. And it was really cool. So big thanks to Alta Ski Area for hosting the Freeheel Life team. 22 Designs Volet were there as well, and all the amazing people that came. And I saw a lot of alpine skiers getting on tele gear. And that's what it's all about, right? Is we want to expose people, give them the opportunity to get on the gear and try it. And who knows? That's half the battle, is just getting people on the gear because they see it and they're like, wow, it looks cool. I'd like to try it. Well, here you go. Go try it. Free demo. So I think we did good. We darn did good. And looking forward to next year. Sort of on that note, I'm going to be doing a little bit of a mailbag podcast today. It's not going to be very long. But just kind of wanted to get some of these emails addressed. And the first one was a follow-up that I'd gotten. I think it was on social media or something. Alan down in Australia, he said, thanks for letting me know about the upcoming World Telemark Day on March 5th. Hopefully it will add a bit of light and life in these troubled times. More specifically, though, you had indicated that you can shed some light and life on the Southern Hemisphere Day in September. I'm from Victoria in the land of Oz, been a longtime member of a tiny ski patrol that's predominantly cross-country in its operation. But some of us have been tele practitioners for decades. Wishing you well and keep up the great work. Cheers, mate. Alan. So Alan had hit me up about World Telemark Day 2022 in the Southern Hemisphere, and that's going to be on September 3rd, 2022. September 3rd. It's the first Saturday in September is when we traditionally have celebrated World Telemark Day in the Southern Hemisphere. So if you are listening down in below the equator anywhere, but you're probably New Zealand, Australia, Chile, Argentina. Those are the probably those four kind of, what I usually think about. Please message me, podcast@freeheellife.com. Let's get some points of contact going. And I know you guys aren't on the slopes yet, but I'd love to get that going where you can start thinking about it. And that way we can have another successful World Telemark Day down under, and would love to see that grow as well. So kind of going into one of the next mailbag questions. This is from Julian in Charlevoix, Canada. You guys know I am not good at French, but I am trying my best. So he says, just want to say thanks for all the work you guys are doing over there. Top notch. Here's the question. Last week, I bought a new backcountry toy. I got the Volet V6 BC skis with switchback X2 bindings, and I love them. But I bought the kit from a guy, and he was wearing an 8.5 boot size, which is probably like a 26.5 Mondo. And he said, my boot size is 10.5 to 11, so it's probably like 28.5, 29. So after measuring everything, I can see my boot center is off by 1 inch to aft, so going backwards. So I'm not sure if I should relocate the binding. Maybe I won't notice any difference at all. I'm a beginner on Telemark skis. I will be 50% on groomers, 50% backcountry with this kit. So I will appreciate your advice on that. Thanks a bunch, Julian. So this is a great question. This happens often, especially if you're in the used gear market. You buy a pair of skis from us at Freeheel Life. Maybe you found a buddy gave you some skis. Maybe you got them off Craigslist, whatever, eBay. Oftentimes skis are mounted for, well, I shouldn't say often, all the time, or skis should be mounted to your boot center on, boot recommended line or whatnot. So he's saying it's about 1 inch. So doing the quick conversion, it's about 2.5 centimeters back. Okay. So a couple things stick out to me in the email. Julian, you're a beginner Telemark skier. I don't think that alone, I don't think remounting the skis, putting another set of holes in, I don't think as a beginner Telemark skier, you're really going to notice. Now, the other thing is, even if you were an expert Telemark skier, I don't actually think you would probably notice at all anyways. And on a Volet V6 as well, and the fact that you're going 50% backcountry, it actually might be good. In fact, a lot of people say, hey, I would say, well, I don't know a lot of people, but there is a group of people out there that tend to say that a quote unquote Telemark mount in modern terms is usually like two back. So that's the slang for 2 centimeters back. So you're 2.5. It's going to give you a little more nose, on the ski, a little more tip. So for a backcountry scenario, it's just going to give you more tip in soft snow, crud. And I guess the summary of all of this, I just don't think it's going to matter. And I don't think it's worth remounting it back to boot center just because. If you start feeling like there's just too much ski in front of you after you're familiar with the ski and binding setup, yeah, maybe consider it. But, choking that up 2.5 centimeters, I just don't think it's going to make that much of a difference. So that's kind of my 2 cents on it. And we talked a little bit about this in, mounting questions. And, like I said, YouTube's a great place to go look at that. We've talked about it on the podcast. In this particular scenario, doesn't really strike me as anything too big of a deal. Now, I'm just going to say this again, because I know some of you out there probably don't listen to every single episode of a podcast. And I don't expect you to, because there's a lot of them, 120 to be precise as of today. But here's the deal. If you were to get a used setup and it looks like it's really far back, and maybe somebody mounted these skis with what's called a pin line on center, you might be in trouble. And basically what that is where you take the pin, where the 3 pin holes are on the boot, and where that lines up is literally the dead center of the ski. If you were to measure the center from tip to tail and mark the exact dead center, and then put your pin holes on there, you're going to end up like 6 inches back from where you're supposed to be on a modern ski. So if for some reason you've got a really squirrely ski and it looks like your tails do not exist, meaning that they're very short, I would highly recommend talking to a professional, probably Freeheel Life, customer service at freeheellife.com, and we'll help you out. Watch out for pin line mounts in 2022. That's my advice. Oh, geez. If we're still seeing pin line mounts out there, it makes me question a lot of things in the world. Okay, moving on. This next one's from Adam from the Pindiana Freeheelers. And I just want to say, if you're part of the Pindiana Freeheelers, first, awesome name. It harkens back to the roots of being a pinner. For all you greenhorns out there, being pins, I just talked about 3 pins. Telemark skiers used to be called pinners. And these guys are from Indiana. This group is from Indiana. Pindiana, you get it? You get it? All right. But Pindiana Freeheelers, you guys have the most amazing logo ever. And since we don't have a visual on this podcast at this point, it is a soaring eagle top, like the torso of an eagle on human legs doing a telemark turn. It's like the coolest logo I've seen in a while. If, like I always say, if I can get to a place and have an experience, a lot of times I like to get a tattoo. That if I ever telemark in Indiana with the Pindiana Freeheelers, I'm getting that damn tattoo on me somewhere, because that's legit. But I digress. They've got a Facebook group too. So if you're interested in telemark skiing in Indiana, or you're just curious about what they're up to, go check them out on Facebook. Maybe they'll let you in the group. Maybe they won't. I don't know. I don't have permission to tell you to go add their group, but you could ask them. Maybe they're nice enough. I'm sure they are. Some Midwest nice. All right. Adam asks, warm greetings from the Midwest and the stalwart squad of the Pindiana Freeheelers. We still have plenty of ski season left, but it won't be too long until we have our annual spring carnival and classic event, the Pond Skim. Adam, I'm really sorry. It took me a while to get back to you on this. So the Pond Skim could have already happened, and I'm really sorry. So please use this advice next year if I missed it. All right, he continues. Last year, I gave it a go and was determined to skim in a telly stance. As soon as I dropped a knee during the pond skim, it pressured the front of the ski. The tip dove, and I came to an abrupt and soggy stop. So this begs the question, is it mechanically possible to drop a knee and pond skim in a telly stance? Thanks for everything you do. Sincerely, Adam. Well, Adam, I don't believe I have personally done a pond skim. I've judged a pond skim before multiple times, actually. But now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think I was ever bold enough to actually do it. I've seen some telly stuff go down, and I want to say that I've seen it happen where you can do a Telemark stance of sorts. Now, I will say it's all about equipment choice. It's all about obviously weight and pressure. And I'd say those two things, and maybe a little bit of luck. So the very first thing I would do, if you're really legit trying to be the number one telly pond skimmer in the world, or at least in Indiana, which I think is a very valid title to own, and I would love to write an article about it if you become the number one champion Telemark pond skimmer in Indiana. So keep me in the loop. But what I was saying at first is, if you go to the gear side of this, here's what I would look for. This is just me personally. I would look for a pair of the widest possible skis that you can find, which seems to make sense, right? I almost would say mount water skis, used water skis, not nice ones. And, but there's no edges on them. So it's dicey. Getting to the pond is dicey at that point. You kind of need the edges, right? But if you can find like an old used pair of like 120, 130 underfoot skis, there's even a Liberty made a ski back in the day called the Genome that's 140 underfoot millimeters. That would be exactly what you need for this. Now, not just a fat ski, but if you can get a fat ski with early tip rise, that's also going to help. And I'm not saying that maybe you did have this, and we'll get to the technique portion of this, but when you're heading into the pond skim, the tip dive it's kind of like what happened. I mean, for ages. I mean, that's why telly rolls exist. You know, where your tip catches under the powder snow, and all of a sudden you're somersaulting down the hill. Early tip rise, as we call it. So on a lot of modern skis, we're going to see that early tip rise where the contact point sort of leaves the snow much earlier. And I'm giving these basic terms in case you're not familiar with that terminology, so I don't sound like a total, you know what. Early tip rise though is clutch. So now gear, I would say like 115 on up, the fattest ski you can get with early tip rise, that's what you want to go for. Now let's talk technique. I'm going to have a sip of coffee because you guys can probably tell I'm getting wired as I'm talking. I'm getting so excited about this. Refreshing. Okay. Now the technique. So the first thing that comes to mind, you got to have speed. Speed is your friend. If you are scared of the speed going into this, Adam, just from your words on the paper, being part of the stalwart squad of the Indiana Freeheelers, I don't think you're kind of the kind of guy that's going to be afraid of speed. But for anybody else out there, if you're afraid of speed, it is death in the pond skim. You got to have speed. I mean, that's the whole thing, because you're trying to skim across, right? Now, speed number one. Number two, I want you to suss out the lip, the entry point. Let's call it the entry point of the pond skim. Because here's what happens. And having been a judge multiple times in a pond skim, this is where it can all go wrong. Is what does the entrance to the pond skim look like? And what you want to look for is, did they build a little bit of a lip, like a jump? You know, like a little ramp. When I say lip, I'm talking like a park rat kid here. A lip, you know, like, is there a little ramp? And then I also want you to look at the water level, okay? Because how much water did they put in the pond, and where is the entrance of the snow? So basically, edge of snow, I want you to identify, are we talking like you come off the snow and there's like 6 inches down to hit the water, or is the water level with the snow entrance? And is there a lip? Is there a little bit of ramp that's ramping up? So the reason I'm going through this is because no matter what, if you come in hot with a lot of speed and you hit the entrance point and they've kind of put a lip on it to jump you up, you've got to be able to kind of bunny hop it and get over the lip so that it's not bucking you backward. That's where a lot of people go wrong in the pond skim, is there'll be like a little lip. They come in too hot. All of a sudden they get bucked back seat. And then and then on top of that, like I said, maybe they're dropping down in a few inches, because that's pretty far. Like if you're going outward and you're dropping 3 to 4 inches and then hitting the water, that's going to be a problem. Excuse me. And so you can always bunny hop over the little lip. The main thing is you want trajectory forward so that you're sort of landing on your feet, and then you're letting the skis that I described do the work. Now, sorry, I told you guys I had a cold, man. Just I got coffee and cold and all this stuff. You guys are getting all the sound effects. This is what it's like on pirate radio, people. It's not perfect, okay? So what's going to happen is you want clean trajectory going forward and try to avoid any sort of bump that's going to do that. Now, once you've got good connection with the water and you're centered on your skis, that's what we're hoping for, right? So whatever you got to do to get to that point where you're now skimming, and I would make sure you land on make sure you begin to skim both feet and then go into Telemark and try to hold it all the way to the end. Okay. And again, the speed thing is your friend, because all of a sudden, if you land, I don't think landing in Telemark in this particular case is to your benefit. And we're going for cheers here, right? You're going for cheers. You want to get to the end. You want to be the number one Telemark, Pindiana freeheeler, pond skim champion of the world here. So it's really just about getting to the other side. And that's what this is all about. So land centered on 2 feet. Once you and I'm talking like this is microseconds. Your land, boom. Now you're going into Telemark. You're going to hold it. You might even have to go back to parallel to get to exit the pool, the pond. Again, it all goes to sussing it out. Where's the water level and what does the exit look like? Because that's the other thing too, is the last thing you want to do is lose steam across the water. You're in a telly, you've accomplished everything we just talked about, and then you're sort of puttering out, and then all of a sudden you catch that inside tip on the end of the pond, and then you basically eat shit right at the end of the pond. Are you going to get cheers? Yeah, but we're going for perfection here, Adam. That's what I'm talking about. So there's your Telemark pond skim breakdown for 2022. I didn't know I had that much to say about that one. Apparently, I really care about pond skimming. I care about you winning is what I care about. I want you to be the winner of all Indiana pond skimmers. Anyways, if you get a video of that and I haven't completely messed up your year by not getting back to that on a mailbag episode yet, please let me know how that goes. I would love to hear it. And that'd be really cool. Okay, moving on to more talk of 75 millimeter boots. Pretty sure I'm going to talk about 75 millimeter boots the rest of my life, which is cool. I don't think because I haven't done a mailbag episode in a while, so I apologize if I've read this one already. This came in right after we did that podcast with me and Taylor, but I thought it was worthwhile bringing up. And yeah, so just as this is from Scott. He says, "Hi guys, I'm just chiming in on your conversation about boots. On the death of 75 podcasts. I am a Canadian who lives in Switzerland. My zone is Berner Oberland. Around here, Scott, Crispy, and Scarpa seem more or less equally common. A quick scan of tutti.com, which is kind of like Craigslist over there, suggests this observation holds up. There's a pile of garments as a fourth category. This may or may not be representative of Europe more generally, as Scott is a Swiss company from an adjacent canton, which is kind of like a county. That said, Crispy is a totally valid boot choice here. For me, the Evo's higher instep is a noticeable improvement on the T1s and T3s. That seemed perfectly fine for many years. Thanks for the podcast, best Scott. Scott, thanks for letting me know. And I agree. When I go to Europe, it's kind of funny coming from the States, because I think, like we said in that podcast, you know, Scarpa's got like 95 or more % of the market share here in the United States. And for sure, Canada, poor Canada, as you know, if you were a Telemark skier when living in Canada, has difficult distribution. I'll say difficult. That's the nice way of putting it. It's pretty hard to get Telemark boots in the land north of us here. But going back to Europe, yeah, I would say there's a good even Crispy, Scott, Scarpa representation in Europe. And yeah, you do see a lot more Scott boots. I know I know you're on the like you said, in Berner Oberland. If you go over to like the French side, over like our buddies over in the Worst Crew in Grion, you know, those guys always had Scott boots too. And I remember thinking, wow, that's crazy. There's Scott boots everywhere. I've never seen this, but that makes a lot of sense. And Crispy, obviously, you guys aren't far from Italy, so I would imagine the distribution there is good. Our buddies over at, I want to say Cloud9, they're out of Switzerland. That's a shop. And I think they had all three brands and have done a good job of getting them out there. And yeah, great observation, Scott. Thanks for chiming in on that. And it's good to kind of hear everything's sort of equally represented over there. And I hope that continues. I think the only thing to say on that 75 podcast, it's so funny. There's so many people that are upset about these articles that we put out on telemarkskier.com. It's just like, you know, I guess me and Dusty and Taylor were talking about this, and it's I guess it's just sort of, it catches us off guard, because, you know, we're talking like, it's been a really long time since NTN came out. And it's always been sort of strange that we have these two platforms. And I think that people are just sort of hearing about things for the first time, I guess. And there's sort of this upsetness. So this is my call to come together, people. It's all about how you fasten to the ski. And let's just have one type of boot, you know, for God's sake, just one boot, not one boot. I want to see lots of different boots, but you get the idea. Like how we fasten to the ski, let's all get on the same page. And I get it. You're like, well, NTN sucks and it doesn't work for me and I hated it. And I went to this demo day and it just blew, man. That's not Telemark. NTN's not Telemark. 75's Telemark. Well, just let's all get with the same program. NTN is the future. And not even the future. I mean, it's like, that's what's there right now. So just don't get upset. You know, if you're out there and you're just like road raging right now, listening to the podcast on a Monday morning, and you're just like, I hate Madsen. He's full of shit. We should all be 75 for life. Just chill out, bro. And let's all come together and just like, let's find better bindings and more boots. Better bindings and more boots. And guess what? They're not going to have a 75 millimeter toe. Although I love that. And you should all hoard your 75 millimeter boots so that we can go back and ski retro day. Because just think, people are going to be skiing like 30 years from now. They're going to be like, some young kid's going to be pulling out like a 22 Designs axle, and he's like, man, back in the day, those guys skied on this. You probably won't even have a binding then. It'll just be like a magnetic force that holds your boot to the ski. And you can adjust it with your phone or some built-in mechanism in your foot. I don't know. Who knows? All right, enough about that. 75 is not dead, but let's all get on making Telemark one boot and one way to attach it to the binding. How about that? It's my plea for peace. So into this next one. I hope I say this name right. Teague. If you're listening and I got that right, let me know. My apologies if I did not get it right. I thought this was a really good question, though, and it's kind of a longer email, but I'm going to read it to you anyways because I feel like this is there's a couple common experiences in here, and then he's obviously asking for some advice, but I think this is a good place to start. He said, "What's up, FHL? Writing in from the great state of Maine, where after 17 years of snowboarding, I've spent the last 2 seasons learning the turn and loving the process. Not knowing if Telly was going to stick for me when I started, I opted to find used gear. My search turned up a pair of well-loved Black Diamond Havocs with Black Diamond 01 bindings and a pair of BD Push boots, brand new, still with tags on. Score! ! I ordered some skins and started skinning laps every weekend at the local resorts and a few lift serve days to try and get reps in. I'm hooked now, and after this season, I'm planning to upgrade my kit. I recently went to a Telemark demo event and was expecting to be blown away by some updated gear. I tried some crispy boots and a pair of skis mounted with Outlaw X's. I had to size down to crispies to a 27 from a 27.5, and they were still really sloppy. Maybe it's just that they were demos with packed out liners. On the lift for my first lap, I noticed my ski was hanging by the tip of the boot. I avoided disaster and grabbed the ski off my foot. Once at the top, I could not get the claw of the binding to grab and proceeded to parallel turn back to the demo tent and happily get back on my own kit to enjoy the rest of the day. Not the demo experience I had hoped for. I could use some advice from the pros. You! ! I'm looking for a one kit quiver for the Ice Coast. I ski 70% touring, 30% lift serve. I'm going to stick with 75 millimeter for now. Might be dying, but not dead yet. I like the way the Havocs and the 01 ski, but I obviously haven't experienced anything else. Lighter would be great for long days touring. Thanks in advance. Also, just a shout out to you at FHL and the Telemark community. I hucked myself out onto the hill with 0 ski experience, and I would never have expected how much positivity and support from all other free healers I received. Everyone I've met along the way has been super helpful and stoked to share the hill with a total beginner, and it's been rad. Cheers, Telemark is alive. Stoked New England free healer. Love that. So thanks for letting me read that whole thing, but there's a couple things that really stand out. One, I think this guy made a great choice getting into some used gear, and that's what it's all about. I mean, that's why we sell used gear. We want you to either be able to rent or find an affordable setup to start with. You know, that's key. Or borrow something. You know, that's why I always, you know, he leaned on that thing at the end where our community is so rad. People want to loan gear out to their friends, and they want to see you on the hill and give you a tip if you want one. I mean, I wouldn't recommend being the person that's just like, I'm going to teach everyone how to telemark, and like you just roll up to people with unsolicited advice. But yeah, ask people, do they want help, you know? And I love that. I'm glad he's had a good experience like that. I think this setup is perfect for a beginner too. Black Diamond Havocs. I don't have the specs in front of me, but that's an easy ski, especially for where he's at It's probably 85 millimeter underfoot, easy to turn, very forgiving ski, simple. Black Diamond 01, everyone kind of knows that's been in Telemark. If you're a newbie out there hearing this, yeah, good binding. Hard to find screws, hard to find parts. We obviously have them, but even we have a hard time keeping parts. So, moving on to the second part of this, I think, going to a demo, this is what I hate about demos. People should have a good experience when you go to a demo, and that's why it's important that people running the demo or they're able to walk you through. And this is, look, I know I'm always pitching on the podcast, like we want to be your preferred Telemark shop and we want you to come to us and we're the best and all this. But you know what? What we want to do is we want to understand you as a customer. And to do that, the staff has to be familiar with as much Telemark product that has ever existed and know feelings and know how to walk you through it. The thing that stuck out to me right off the bat, I know you're coming from an 01. I don't know what your spring cartridges are. You could have free flex, you could have mid stiffs, you could have rid stiffs, and that's how we would kind of ask you and tune you up on an Outlaw X. Jumping to a Crispy from a BD, the reason you had to downsize most likely is if you're in a 27.5 is where it breaks on the half size, right? So if you're at a 27.5 in a Crispy, that's actually a 28. And if you're 27.5 in a BD, you're actually 27.5 because there's no half sizes, if that makes sense. So, knowing, if you show up to our Freeheel Life demo, we're going to look at that. We're going to look at your BD push and we're going to move you into that size down. Now the slop, that could be boot fitting. It could be whatever. Well, you might even need to measure. You might even be different. You might even be a size down, than you think you are. Definitely happened. Not the first time. Anyways, kind of bummed you had a bad experience. And if you're a shop out there and you're not Freeheel Life, just, take the time to listen to some of these things. There's your unsolicited Telemark shop advice. No, but we need to keep people stoked and to keep people happy, especially if they're trying to NTN and they're coming from 75 millimeter gear. This is what we do not want to happen is you got to have the expertise to help people know. And, like I said, there's missing pieces coming from an 01, depending on your style and stance and stuff. NTN might not feel exact, but we can get it pretty close. So anyways, if you're listening to this, that's the kind of experience you should have. And I think that's why we've got this 75 versus NTN BS sort of war going on. It's literally because people are having bad experiences. And I remember because I ran the first NTN demo with Rotofella like back in 2011, and I remember, I didn't have even the detailed experience that I did now, but a lot of my methodology now comes from those experiences for sure. And I can't tell you how many people I've met that have been to other demos with NTN and they're just like, nope, sucks. But there's no rhyme or reason for it. So I just wanted to hit on that. So I hope you get on it at some point and have a better experience. The whole ski falling off thing, there was sort of some issues with some Crispy boots getting into Outlaws at one time. I don't know if that's what that was, or maybe it just wasn't stepped into all the way. Who knows? I wasn't there. But going to your main question of a ski that might be something similar to the Havoc, but lightweight. We sell Volet skis. I think the Ultra Vector would be a fantastic ski for you going from Havoc over. Similar forgiveness, a little bit fatter underfoot, performs well inbounds, but more lightweight, and just it's got the early tip rise like I was talking about in the pond skim thing. The Havocs did not have those features. So I think you could go up a little on the width of the waist and not have it be a big deal. It would be kind of modernizing the ski that you're on rather than going to something totally different, you know? I mean, I can think of some other skis that might be a little more favorable inbounds, but I mean, that's why, you know, we try to point people that way. Our Protector 95 ski, also a good choice. Not super heavy, going to do really well inbounds. And 95 underfoot, you know, it's similar, very similar to the Ultra Vector in that regard. That's a sidewall, our ski sidewall construction versus a cap construction ski though. So anyways, I hope that helps. And hopefully that's a kind of a good recap on all that. All right, I have to throw this one in there because after I was just talking about the demo situation, this is from another gentleman, Jacob, another East Coaster, right coast of the United States. He just said, I'm not going to read every piece of this, but this part stuck out to me, and this is exactly what I was just talking about regarding demos. So if you're a shop person, please listen up, especially if you own a shop. I want you to listen up. This Jacob says, I went to a demo day and was, let me back up. He said, I went to a demo day and asked if they had any 22 Designs links and was met with, quote, "Link sucks." And Jacob said he was bummed out. This is what I'm talking about. How just, this is, again, my unsolicited, this is unsolicited advice for just other shops. Like I said, I do the podcast to promote our shop. And of course I want business from other shops, but I realize we're not everywhere. We ship everywhere, but look, we can't be at every local hill. But when I read stuff like this, it bums me out. It super bums me out because here's the thing. And if you're a shop owner, make sure your shop team knows how to talk to customers. And if you're the shop owner saying that, man, that's tough. That's a tough biz, man. You know, here's the thing. People say Link sucks. Why are they saying that? Why do you not have it at a demo? Because the thing I want to just put out there, it's like the customer might want that. It actually might work better. We always talk about sensations and bindings that work better for one person over the other. And it's the feel of it, right? Well, guess what? Lynx has a certain feel with a certain type of boot that might actually help you get someone into Tele, or it might help you move someone into a new setup because their old setup, like we just talked about from the other gentleman, you know, like you can't find parts for the old bindings. I'm not saying that everyone's going to get on Lynx, and this isn't a 22 Designs commercial either. I mean, it's like, you know, there's only a few things that we can select from, and Lynx is one of them. Majo from the M Equipment, you know, Bishop, BMF, BMFR, Outlaw. This is the direction, right? So I'm glad Jacob told me about this because it kind of made me chuckle, but I'm also like, geez, all right, this is the kind of stuff. Yeah. So if you're running a demo out there, just be cool. You know, if you sell Telemark gear at a shop, don't be a dick. Just be a nice person, because that's what this is all about. And I mean, I love getting business from other shops where people are just total assholes, but you know, just don't be that way. That just sucks. Especially if you're a telemarketer. If you're being a jerk, just knock it off. Knock it off. The other thing Jacob brought up in his email was just about seeing there. He sent me an Instagram link to some what looks to be some prototypes from Crispy, which is sort of like a backcountry Evo of sorts. I can't remember if we talked about this. We may have on that 75 podcast as well. Definitely out there. Crispy, if you're listening in Italy, I want to talk to you. Let's get you on the podcast. Be great to know what's going on there. Anyways, Jacob, thanks for the inside scoop. And looks like you're from Maine too. I love Maine. You guys are great up there. Big shout out to the loafers and everywhere else, but that seems to be a Telly stronghold. Old Sugar Loaf. It's cold as hell up there. Ugh. Haven't been there in a while, but you guys have some beautiful country. All right. I told you this was going to be a short podcast, and you should have never believed me because I talk way too much. And once the pirate radio gets going, it just keeps on going and going and going and going and going. It's just how it rolls. Anyways, thanks for listening. I hope you guys have a fantastic week, and I hope you've got some turns planned. It's crunch time, and then there'll be some good spring skiing, I'm sure, out there, especially if you're in the Rockies, Alaska. You know, it ain't over, but some of that inbounds lift serve stuff's going to be over sooner than later. So get on it. Much love and respect. Hopefully you enjoyed today. Thanks for always sending in. I'm always collecting for the mailbag, and it's an easy way to kind of get responses back. If I haven't emailed you, I like to put them in the mailbag because I think they can be helpful to other people out there. And as always, we would love to be your preferred Telemark shop, like I kept saying, because we are not assholes at our shop, and we are nice, and we want to help you out, and we want you to come back. And so we're going to do our darndest to answer your questions, listen to your problems, and find solutions, because that's what we're all about. That is the Freeheel Life way. We are here to preserve, protect, and promote Telemark forever. So if you want protectors of the turn guiding you into your next setup or answering questions about your breakage, or hey, you just got a question about stuff, please reach out, freeheellife.com. You can email us at customerservice@freeheellife.com. We would love to chat with you. Telemarkskier.com still rolling. We've got articles going up. We'd love for you to be a premium subscriber there. And we are always looking to improve on that as well. And you can email me, like I said, podcast@freeheellife.com. Goes to me. That is the mailbox. And maybe I need to get a P.O. box, because I would like to get some letters. That'd be kind of fun, huh? Maybe we make that the future. It's all going to go back to retro anyways, because it's just the wave of the future, right? Old is new. All right, brothers and sisters, much love and respect. And I hope you are having a fantastic Monday and a great start to the week. And until next time, spread Telemark always.